What happens when humans are no longer the smartest thing on this planet? Or perhaps more accurately, how are we changing now that machines are getting better than us at an increasing number of tasks? I've spent most of my career studying the implications of new technologies, but I come to the tech world from a bit of a strange background: philosophy and Latin. Oddly, it's this humanist tradition that inspires me to work in tech policy, because I believe while there's some incredible opportunities that new technologies offer us, I also believe there's something unique about us as humans that we risk losing if we don't think carefully about how technologies change us. Throughout history, humans have, on occasion, altered the way they see themselves fitting into this world. The revival of humanism during the Renaissance was one of these moments. Humanism struck a middle path between the supernatural world, where humans were dependent on divine beings, and the scientific world, where humans were just another part of the natural world. With humanism, we began to read human history as a story of progress, with we ourselves as the protagonists. We began to believe that humans were unique and valuable. Humans can compose music. We can write the most evocative poetry. We can build incredible societies and cultures. We are exceptional. With the gradual but inexorable decline of religion, we even began to see ourselves sitting atop a pyramid, superior to everything else on Earth, including Earth itself. We can flush a trail of ants down the sink. We can fell a dozen trees to build a house. We can eat chicken for dinner and not think twice. Yet every human life is sacred. The power of this belief permeates Western thinking. Descartes, in his famous phrase, cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am, used the power of his own thinking to prove his own existence. Everything else around me might be a delusion, created by an evil demon, but through the power of my own thinking, I can at least be certain that I exist. This tradition even places humans at the centre of the most existential question that we can think to ask ourselves. What is the meaning of life? The mere fact of our existence suggests to us that we must be serving some special cosmic purpose. Today, individualism is so inculcated into our way of thinking that it's become denigrated into marketing cliches. Just do it. Be all that you can be. iPhone. But what happens to this worldview when machines start beating us at everything? In 1996, IBM's Deep Blue made history for being the first computer to win both a chess game and a chess match against a reigning world champion. In 2017, Google's AlphaGo beat the world's best player of humanity's most complicated board game. And in April this year, 50 of the world's leading AI researchers announced a boycott of South Korea's top university for opening what they called an AI weapons lab that threatened to develop weapons without any meaningful human control. Now, I can see you thinking, I'm not a trained soldier and I don't play chess, so who cares? But think for a moment how many tasks you've already given over to machines. Just in living memory, we've gone from manual calculation to using calculators. It's now no longer necessary to really know how to spell or to navigate. Pretty soon, driving a car is going to be a redundant skill. For a while, it looked like computers were never going to be able to master complex human actions. In 2004, Harvard and MIT professors, Levy and Murnane, published a book in which they predicted that computers were going to be very good at carrying out tasks that essentially required the replication of well-understood rules, like predicting whether somebody would be able to repay a loan or not. But for activities that required complex pattern recognition, like driving a car, these were going to remain the domain of humans. A bit over a decade later, and we have driverless car trials here in Canberra. Across an ever-expanding range of human endeavour, we face the imminent prospect of being overtaken by superior machines. Imagine yourself for a moment in this imminent future world. You're awoken by your implanted medical device, which is synced to your calendar to wake you up with just enough time to get ready in the morning. You stumble into the kitchen and your robot kitchen arm has prepared scrambled eggs and coffee just the way you like it. You sit down and mindlessly surf through your social media. You walk out the door and your driverless car is waiting for you. When you show up at work, the organisation's AI, which has been nicknamed Artie, assigns you your task for the day and checks in with you every 10 minutes to make sure that you're sticking on track. Video cameras record your every interaction during the day and assign you a live community footprint ranking, which feeds into a broader score that impacts your ability to do everything from book a restaurant to borrow money. After work, you head to a bar. Your dating app has selected a date for you. They're on time and they're not half bad looking. You enjoy a fantastic meal that's cooked by the latest award-winning RoboChef, and you enjoy some pretty witty banter with a quite funny robot waiter. Now, at one level, this all sounds reasonably pleasant, but at another, it sounds like a recipe for human collapse. When people talk about nightmare scenarios involving AI, they often talk about or invoke the prospect of AI taking over. But for me, the more daunting near-term challenge is the possibility of humanity falling into existential crisis. If artificial intelligence and robots take over an increasing number of our tasks and thinking, what happens to us? How special will we feel when our lives are managed by superior machines? And how are we able to live up to our ideal of human progress if we are regressing and machines are overtaking us at an increasing number of fields? Research from a range of areas suggests that humans might not do so well. Norman Doidge, in his classic book, talks about the use it or lose it principle of the human brain. If a stroke victim loses mobility in their right arm and has it immobilized, then pretty quickly the part of the brain that's responsible for movement in the right arm will begin to deteriorate. So better practice today is to encourage the patient to move their arm as quickly as possible to maintain and retain brain function. But as we give over more and more tasks to machines, we risk facing a phenomenon similar to immobilized stroke victims. A McGill University study found that drivers who used Google Maps to navigate around town had reduced brain activity and less grey matter in the hippocampus region of their brain that's responsible for memory consolidation. Drivers who used traditional methods to navigate around didn't have this same deficit. What the problem is as we give over more and more tasks to machine, we're not filling the void with similarly engaging activities. The Royal Melbourne Hospital's research shows that Australian children across all age groups significantly exceed recommended screen times. And high levels of screen times are unfortunately not correlated with strong intellectual or social outcomes. In fact, multiple pieces of research point to links with depression. At a broader level, humans appear to be becoming less intelligent. Multiple studies had been tracking the long-term increase in human IQ over most of the 20th century. But more recently, studies have started to pick up a reversal in that trend, something known as the reverse Flynn effect. Multiple hypotheses have been put forward to try and explain this phenomena. But could it be, as we give over more and more activities to machines and thinking, that this trend line, this downward trend line, will continue? Historically, humans have been slow to realize how they need to adapt themselves to their own creations. There was a big lag time between the mass manufacture of cars and the subsequent realization that we'd have to force ourselves to exercise if we wanted to stay healthy. In this situation, if we do nothing, we risk becoming less intelligent and more depressed. Now, I can see you're all thinking I've set you up for a very pessimistic conclusion. But in fact, I see reason for optimism, and it's grounded in the same humanism that got us here in the first place. Yes, it is inevitable that machines will take over an increasing number of our daily tasks, and they will be better than us. Machines will be better drivers, surgeons, chemists, police officers, and carpenters. Pretty soon we're going to have to accept that. But at the same time this is happening, we can look back to humanism and other philosophical movements to understand what it is that really makes us human. The humanists still point to traits that separate us from machines: nobility, sympathy, love, courage and endurance, the centrality of developing well-rounded personality and individual talents that span the full spectrum of human endeavour. In the 15th century, the humanities involved the study of history, literature, rhetoric, and moral philosophy, still subjects that machines do not understand. And there are other traits too. Artificial intelligence will never understand family or spirituality. For me, the advent of superior machines is an opportunity to reinvent ourselves and our belief systems. Instead of a pyramid with humans at the apex, we might reconceive the place of humanity in the global landscape. We might start paying more attention to our habitat, to our fellow humans, and to animals. We might find an easier way to explain the meaning of life. And if we take the time to understand what we need to do to adapt to our new creations, we might just spark a new renaissance.